You're listening to the Hard Men Podcast, reclaiming biblical masculinity in a world of softness. Yo, fuck Eric Kahn.
Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven, and today we're back on the front lines of the battlefield. Our war with biblical masculinity rages on.
Fuck Eric Kahn.
God hates soft dicks, so we're gonna learn how to get hard. Today we're listening to the podcast we love to hate, the Hard Men Podcast. Episode number 3, titled, What Does It Mean to Be a Hard or Soft Man? Hosted by none other than our bearded boy pervert extraordinaire, Eric Kahn.
Fucking Jesus hates a flaccid penis.
Hates it. He absolutely hates it.
He was satyr-like, had a fully erect at all times.
So, before we get too deep, here's the thing. Part of, I think, what he gets into this episode about being hard, that whole Goggin shit, the stay hard, bitch, that kind of attitude. Granted, there can be a little something to that, right? Like to persevere in times of toughness.
Mm-hmm.
There could be something to that. But the type of people, the type of men who are obsessed with that and feel the need to embrace or perpetrate all suffering for the sake of being hard for God is so fucking sick and delusional. I could just picture him praying, his dick, his dick in his beard, just praying to God every night that he gets hard tomorrow.
Please don't make it go away.
Please, dear Lord, keep me hard. Please, God. Fucking loser. Yeah, fuck Eric Kahn. So, yeah, fuck Eric Kahn. Fuck our week. Fuck honorable mentions. Let's go to war. Let's get right into it. Let's go to fucking war. Episode number 3 of the Hard Men Podcast. Let's go.
You're listening to the Hard Men.
Actually, give me like 20, 30 seconds then say, and I'll press.
Okay.
Need a vape and a swig. All that hard work took it out of me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
All right. Now let's go.
Goblin mode. All right. 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to the Hard Men Podcast.
You're listening to the Hard Men
Biblical
Podcast.
masculinity.
Oh man, I've missed this fucking music.
Yeah. How am I supposed to get hard without this music?
Dude, I feel hard just listening to it.
Welcome to the Hard Men Podcast. I am your host, Eric Kahn.
Oh, it's Eric Kahn.
This is season 1,
it's our
episode
boy.
3.
Fuck that.
And
dude.
this episode is titled, What Does It Mean to Be Hard or Soft as a Man?
We're gonna find out.
Now, in the last episode, I talked about the softness of many pastors and how it stands opposed to the hard masculinity
Your
of
pastor isn't
Scripture
killing people.
and to many men in America.
He's
In this
a bad
episode,
pastor.
I want to unpack a bit more about where these terms came from
Oh
and
yeah.
why they're helpful
Explain
in the
it.
process of recovering biblical masculinity.
Of course. Yes.
You know, extraordinary claims, extraordinary evidence, all that. He's got it.
That bass is just buzzing my
What I want to do
soul.
now is turn to Matthew chapter 11 for a bit of exegesis.
It's my favorite verse.
And explanation of where these terms for hardness and softness come from. I'll begin reading in verse 7. Again, this is Matthew chapter 11.
Fuck yeah.
Now, as these men were going away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John, that is John the Baptist.
Wonder what he's gonna say.
And he said, "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind?
Mm-hmm.
But what did you go out to see? A man dressed in soft clothing?
Yeah.
Those who wear soft clothing are in king's palaces. But what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you.
Is that a bad thing?
And one who is more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you.
So, Jesus, good old Jeebus, tells this dude to kick rocks. He says, get lost, son. Why don't you check out the reeds? Go into the woods and see if you find any soft men. It's a weird story so far, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, only soft men live in big palaces, right?
Only soft men wear soft clothes because they live in palaces.
So they don't get skin abrasions.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm still trying to figure out what's so bad with the palaces?
Yeah, it's like, what's bad with, living in the palace? What's wrong with, getting a nice cotton blend going on?
We can't have nice things.
I gotta go outside and fucking burlap every day.
I remember Sarah one time, it's one of these quotes that's just stuck in my head forever. My girlfriend is a literal cartoon character. And someone, I think my mom said something about treats. And Sarah was like, but doesn't everyone deserve treats? Why can't everyone?
What a sweet human being. Just protect her at all costs.
Why can't everyone wear soft, comfortable clothes? I don't understand.
Yeah. It's like, it shouldn't be like, hey, all these, all the working class people out here have shitty clothes. So instead of saying you're only a real hard man if you wear shitty clothes, shouldn't it be, hey, why don't we get some nice softer clothes for all these hard men?
Eric Kahn wants us all to wear scratchy ass denim, not nice acid washed or beat in secondhand denim. He wants rough denim that's been
pure uncut.
Like when you're doing drywall and you get a little concrete on your clothes, but you have no other clothes to wear to work the rest of the week, so you have denim and drywall scratching you up. Oh, that's what Eric. That's the world Eric wants us to live in.
That's how you get a rash.
Psychotic. What a fucko.
He likes them hard. He likes them with a rash.
Likes them hard, crusty, and rashed up, baby.
Truly, I say to you, among those born of women,
we're all born of women, dumbass.
Anyone greater than John the Baptist. Yet the one who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and violent men take it by force.
Dude, his dick just twitched a bit as he
said when he said that.
And if you are willing to accept it, John himself is Elijah
Scooby?
who was to come. He who has ears
Scooby
to
violence?
hear, let him hear. Now, as we were looking at this passage, I want to point out a couple of things.
Yeah, isn't taking heaven by force the thing that like Satan's supposed to do?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
First, notice that Jesus commends John the Baptist as the example of a man par excellence. This is what men ought to be like. He's saying that in this sense, John is a model for masculinity. He's also saying that there are definite traits.
Oh, this guy Eric Kahn just really babbles on, huh?
About John, and he's commending those to us.
We'll see where he goes.
There's a certain way that a man dresses himself. There's a certain way that a man carries himself.
Like Andrew Tate.
A certain way. His mannerisms.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew Tate's a man's man.
His attitude toward comfort and ease on the one hand, and discipline and moral toughness on the other are revealed in the way he carries himself. Now, second, when he describes John, Jesus particularly says that a man should not be soft. It's interesting because the word here in the Greek that Jesus uses is malakos, which means soft or effeminate. It's the opposite of hard masculinity, or what we'll come to call hard masculine virtue.
It's all the pieces are starting to fit. Apparently, soft has something to do with being feminine, and his proof of this is about the etymology of the word soft from this word malikos. Why is soft things feminine? And why is...
because if they're soft, they're not hard. And hard is for men because men get hard.
And women get soft.
Yeah.
Now, I've always wanted to debate some of these, whether it's biblical masculinity or red pill losers, because here's the thing. Even if we follow him up to this point, what is the end goal with this? Because I can't imagine making these logic leaps unless your base fundamental knowledge on it or presumption on this is that women are worse or not as good as men.
Mm-hmm.
But they're never willing to say that. They'll say all the things that they're not as strong, not as capable, not as intelligent. Naturally, they're more submissive, and but they're never.
And the way that he phrases any of those things is that they're not good,
right?
Yeah,
and that's why we need to be hard, so we're not feminine like them.
Yeah,
it's just I wish there was some honesty in that, because I can respect someone saying, "Oh, I fucking hate women. They're the worst. I wasn't even born from a woman." That to me gets you more credit than this charade of men having to be masculine so that they are not feminine.
Yeah.
The starting point is not truthful.
Yeah, agreed.
It's very clear at this point that Jesus is saying men should not be soft. John wasn't soft, and neither should we be. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason John wasn't soft was because he lived a hard life in the wilderness.
I mean, that tracks.
He ate honey and locusts, and more than that, he didn't care about the opinions of men. He wasn't.
Anytime I eat too much honey and locusts, I'm so soft, bro.
He did not choose a life of comfort and ease, and Jesus points that out. He didn't live in the Hall of Kings with soft clothing and an easy life. But instead, he accepted the strenuous life. And I want you to hear that. He accepted, he embraced, and he pursued the strenuous life. As we'll talk about in coming episodes,
he chose to make his life harder.
Really at the heart of masculinity.
He chose to make his life harder,
the hard life,
so that he could be harder.
The strenuous life. It's a life of discipline and difficulty and moral virtue. Well, this is at the very heart of what it means to be a hard man.
Okay. When we go through these episodes, it's for laughs, right?
Yes.
But I truly do enjoy fundamentally disagreeing with someone's point of view. Mm-hmm. And as much as I fucking hate Eric Kahn, I'm glad these episodes exist, not only because it makes me consider another perspective, but it helps me understand why they're wrong. So when we're listening to these, I want to play devil's advocate a bit. Now, the point he is making is essentially that there is a sense of manly honor in taking the more difficult, strenuous path. So, if I take that in good faith, the question would be, is there something actually honorable about doing something hard?
I feel like there needs to be something else beyond that. There has to be a purpose beyond that makes it honorable. Like,
if I push it farther, I know what you mean. It's like we need more information. What was the goal?
To do like Sisyphean curse style, like you choose to spend, your life rolling a infinitely, heavy stone up a hill. something goofy like that. Like, okay, but why though?
I think it's... I see it as a waste of time to struggle for no purpose.
Yes.
But in good faith, is there any legitimacy to the idea of struggle solely for struggle's sake? And I think in the most positive perspective of that, I can see value in struggling. For example, I may have told this story before. When my grandpa, not the one that killed people in Germany, dropping the bombs, my other grandpa that I knew growing up, when he was a kid, they were Lebanese immigrants, literally dirt poor, wore cardboard and duct tape for shoes in the winter to get to school. Like, absolutely desolate, in Priceville, marching through the snow, barefoot type shit. He worked really hard his whole life, became a Republican judge, probably believed a lot of things I would disagree with him with if he was alive. But at his funeral, there was a bowl of these little red pebbles. They're nice looking stones, real small. And it was worked into the homily of some sort. But at the end of the funeral, everyone was encouraged to grab one and put it in their shoe. And supposedly, I don't think he did it every day. Something like once a week, he would put this pebble in his shoe for the entire workday to remind himself what struggling used to be like for him as a kid. Now, I see that as purpose, like objectively purposeless struggle, but I see value in struggling by choice in that manner.
I mean, I would argue that it's purposeful, that he had a reason to do it.
But it's not objectively. Like, there's nothing you get. There's no, it's like a spiritual purpose. It's not an objective, like, physical manifestation, right? Like, he's doing it spiritually.
I feel like that's still an objective, I guess.
Okay.
When I picture like the suffering without reason is like,
cutting yourself.
Yeah, shit like that, or like the idea of like
I have my feelings about that too, but yeah,
the idea of like I'm trying to make up an example here because it's even just a wild concept and all, but like you have a headache and there's medicine right there next to you. Like you're in pain, but there's medicine next to you that you can take. But instead of taking it, you, for whatever reason, decide like I'm not gonna take the medicine.
I'm not gonna let big pharma.
Yeah, exactly.
Get one over on me. I think it has to be even more trivial because at that even is out of like a false sense of honor. I think of it as like filling up a gumball machine full of gumballs and then one by one, quarter by quarter, emptying the gumball machine and then refilling it back up.
Dumping it back in. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a fun afternoon. Just gumball.
Just a chill afternoon, man.
So
at the Chuck E. Cheese.
If we're being super generous, there is something I think that can be taken from what he's saying. And this kind of goes back to the first time we talked about Eric Kahn and the Hard Men podcast, is that when I say that, I am not at all running defense for where someone such as him can take a kernel of truth and completely turn it into an abomination.
Yeah.
Like there's always these little pieces of something that has value or could have truth, but where he takes it into basically just having a podcast that is an excuse for slandering women and telling men not to be sissies, basically.
Yeah.
For God is completely unacceptable trash.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to try to pick apart and find what we can agree or disagree with him in parts.
I 100% agree that there is value in struggle. There is something.
Absolutely.
There is something to be gained from having a time in your life when you did not have, whether, the resources that, would have made life easier. When you get through that, you just learn how to spend less. You spend how to do more with less, in general. And I feel like that kind of stuff that makes you a better, a stronger, more independent person.
Yeah, but both of us wouldn't wear, let's say, a sweater sewn with razor blades all over the inside of it because we want to struggle that day.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So where is the line? Because someone like Eric will repeatedly say, only soft men wear soft clothes. And I feel like that's so far over the line into the realm of ridiculous, idiotic statements.
Mm-hmm.
Where is his line? How rough or dangerous do my clothes
How dangerous is your closet, Eric?
Like, how uncomfortable do I have to be all the time to be a real man? Because I feel like I could wear silk robes all day, every day, and feel very confident in my manhood. And I have a feeling if this guy's wearing a shirt that's got a little too high of the cotton blend, he's flipping out embarrassed.
Yeah. He's ashamed of himself.
Oh, it's a 70-30 day. Oh, I hope no one notices.
No.
I can't wear my fuzzy socks to my gun range.
Yeah.
All the other Christian men might notice.
There's actually I do need to go to a gun range soon because haven't shot these guns off like since I moved up here, and you need to do that every now and then, right? Like, put some rounds through them and clean it up and make sure everything's cool and kosher.
Practice the murder drills. Yes.
I found one like kind of out in the boons that's got good reviews. Definitely in Republican County. And now that you say that, I want to show up in like some really soft, like fuzzy socks and like it's like pajamas.
Hell yeah, dude. Pajama life's where it's at, and Eric Kahn clearly knows nothing about that shit.
But I will still wear the regulation ear protection and eye protection.
Real men protect their ears.
Yeah.
Now, third, I want you to notice this. Soft men reveal their softness in the clothing they choose.
Ugh. You said that real gross. What a pervert.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't the main point of what I'm driving at right now, but I do want you to notice an important feature of the text and what Jesus says. He says that there's an external thing that's revealing an internal reality. So in other words,
chaps.
A man's clothing, his bearing, his demeanor,
I think he just really likes soft men, and that's why he talks about them so much.
Character. You see,
he likes to see him get all riled up,
all
hot and bothered.
He likes to show the soft men how to get hard.
Well, there's no way to say that a man should dress this way or act this way. But that's not what Jesus says. He says you could look at John's life and know that he was a hard man. So we're going to unpack throughout the season what that looks like. But for now, understand this principle. Also understand the culture in which we live in. Most of us are ashamed to say when we see something like this in a man, maybe it's hard masculinity, maybe it's effeminacy, but we don't want to say, that's a man, and I can tell. But when you watch a movie and you see John Wayne in a Stetson hat,
rock hard,
you say to yourself, there's a man's man.
Dude, I do say that. I do say that when I see John Wayne in a Stetson hat.
On the other hand, when you see Justin Bieber in his skinny jeans with no shirt, all tatted up, his underwear are showing, and he's got bleach blonde hair with earrings, there's not many men that don't look at that and say, yeah, that's a little gay, bro. Now, here's the point, and I want you to hold on to this. Clothing matters. Externals matter. We're going to have difficult...
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. That was...
Oh, God.
He sounded like he worked himself up a little bit.
I think he did.
He did. He was
it's a little gay, bro.
Excited to finally... He had that prepared. He had that loaded in the barrel.
Hey, bro. It's a little gay, bro.
It's a little gay, bro.
Oh, those tats and bleach blonde hair.
The part where he said that most men, like I think most men would say, that's pretty gay, bro, is one that's a reach and a stretch, but two, it reminds me of a situation that just happened with one of our regular customers. One of the guys that comes in all the time, he gets the same thing all the time. He came in for the last couple weeks or so. The staff has been all women at the bar, and he came in 1 week, and he said something about like, man, where are all the guys at? Where are all the fellas at? And someone took note of it. And the next time he came in, and he actually said, I was working, and he's like, oh, it's good to see a man working, or good to see a guy working in here or something. And one of my coworkers said something that kind of alluded to something about like, I didn't actually hear what they said, but it was something along the terms of like, oh, you like when the guys are here? And he's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, but it was almost like she was trying to, they're trying to say like, is that like, oh, you like dudes, huh? And he was like, oh yeah, for sure. It's like, oh, eggs on your face now. You tried to shame this guy, and he's like, no, you're right. That's exactly what I'm here for.
I can't tell. Was he being creepy, or was he just
no,
confidently gay?
Confidently gay.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was all
prepped for a creepo story.
That's kind of how it seemed like to all of us at first. We thought he was just being a fucking weirdo, or at least like misogynistic or something. And like, no, he comes here because there's some attractive dudes that work here.
Good for him. It's still a little weird.
Yeah. We're like, all right, homie.
There is oh man, tricky waters. There is, I'll say this. There is a, what do you call it? The double
standard?
Yeah, there is a double standard, I think, sometimes with if a straight man was doing that at a restaurant, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like it is still kind of creepy.
It is kind of creepy, but he's an old dude.
It's more benign. I don't like when the old gay dudes do that. I feel like it's actually like equally as uncool.
That's fair. That's fair to say. Also, we know this guy because he's just been a customer for a long time, so we know that he's like harmless. He's friendly. He's
harmless till you sneak something in your drink.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to say his name on here because I know.
Fuck you, Barry.
Yeah.
Fuck you too, Eric Conn.
Now here's the point, and I want you to hold on to this. Clothing matters. Externals matter. We're going to have difficult conversations about how they matter.
Why do clothes matter so much to you, Eric?
But for now, the principle is they do matter.
Why?
And they signify something about our masculine virtue. Now, the fourth point I want to make from the text is that malicos is a word Paul also uses to describe effeminacy somewhere else. And Paul says that it is a sin that will send men to hell and keep them from entering the kingdom.
Wouldn't want that.
Now, I want you to think about that for a second. That's a pretty powerful statement.
Eric Kahn's over there rubbing all three of his brain cells together, trying to start a fire. It's like, if I think hard enough, I can have an idea.
it's a sin and it will damn you for all eternity. Well, you better have some proof, Eric, to back that up. And I do, and I want to share that with you.
Back that shit up, Eric.
He brought
I want
the
you
proof.
to see
Trying to
how
get
this
hard.
truth flies in the face of really any cultural popular view in America about biblical sexuality. We think it doesn't matter
I hate
how you
that
dress.
dude Goggins so
It doesn't
much.
matter.
Yeah.
So what if a dude has
Him and Eric
a
would be-
limp wrist and he's soft? So what if he can't work hard? And he
He's had limp
complains
wrist.
at the slightest physical exertion. Maybe he speaks with a lisp.
Just say
Maybe
it.
he wears painted-on skinny jeans, or worse, capris.
Oh, Eric hates
So he
capris.
likes to play with dolls, and he acts like a woman, and
I hate
he's
this
very
vague
emotionalistic
implication
and
shit. Like,
Yeah.
he even
what a
has
spineless
crush on Zac
coward.
Efron.
Yeah.
But what's
Just say
the
you
big
hate
deal?
gay people. You
Yeah,
piece of
exactly.
As it turns out, there is actually a big deal, and that's
Well,
what
that's the he
Paul
doesn't
is
hate gay
saying.
people. He hates gay
The passage I
men.
want to look at where Paul addresses
I think
He
Malachos,
might hate gay
effeminacy,
people. He
softness,
definitely hates gay men.
is
I'm pretty
in
sure he hates
1
all gay
Corinthians
people,
chapter
'cause-
6.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We're going to read starting in verse 9 through verse 11.
It's a great verse.
Now, verse 9, Paul says this, "Or do you not know
You
that
fucking
the
know.
unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived."
Can't get into heaven if you can't open the door
we
with your
see a
limp
list.
wrist.
The people who will not inherit the kingdom of
How you
God.
gonna get in the kingdom?
These people will not be with God in
Them pearly
eternity.
gates are heavy.
And he also, note this, he says, don't be deceived. We live in a generation that is deceiving people.
Deceiving
People are
people.
deceived about biblical sexuality. So these are the people Paul lists. He says, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor, here's our word, the effeminate, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor the covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers.
They're just
None
naming
of
all the
these people
homies
will
out here.
inherit the kingdom of God.
All
Now
my
listen to
homies
verse 11.
fucking
He says,
hate
such
Eric Kahn.
were, past tense, such were some of you. But
That's
you were
the first
washed. You were
Trashcats t-shirt.
sanctified, and you were justified in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ in the Spirit of our God.
Get a picture of Jesus on that shirt.
Friends, these are profound words. Listen, point number one, what Paul says. Paul is saying that effeminacy,
Paul's so
the word
fucked
he uses
up, he
here is
doesn't even know where
malakos,
he's at. Don't
softness,
listen.
effeminacy, it will send you to hell. Listen, I've had many friends say this to me. Eric, why don't you just talk about gospel centrality? Why do you have to talk about biblical sexuality? Because it's a matter of life and death and eternity.
Oh, shit.
That's why I talk about biblical sexuality. That's why I address biblical masculinity. That's why I'm continually pointing to
Breaking a sweat
what is
over here.
biblical
He
and
is,
unbiblical.
man.
What's effeminate?
He's getting heated.
Listen, this passage means that as men, we need to take our masculinity very
Masculinity.
seriously. It's not a throwaway issue. It's not about tastes. It's not about preferences. Sure, in
Just
the
don't wear
discussion about
capris.
masculinity, we'll get into that realm. We'll talk about preference.
Everything is
But
preference.
this issue
All
of
of
effeminacy
morals
is
is
not
just
a
moral
preference.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's an issue of sin and obedience before the living God. Now, I want you to consider just for a moment, if this is true, is this how the church treats the
But what
issue?
if it's not true?
Right? Does the church treat the issue of effeminacy as life and death? Well, very, very simple way to answer this question. How many sermons have you heard on the sin of effeminacy? I can count all of them and tell you right now it's 0. Right?
I will say the latest updates from the Catholic. Did he say he didn't say Catholic? Did he? We still don't know, do we?
No, he just said sermon.
Yeah, the latest from the Catholic Church is their even some of their top secret agent cardinals are saying things that, you know, when you have a gay son or sibling or whatever the fuck, they still can come to mass. They're not for sure gonna burn in hell. We're still welcome to be part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Christian churches have really backed off because they are facing extinction if they go too hard on this issue. So some of these more fundamentalist types, these Christian extremists such as Eric Kahn, I think for good reason are very upset about this because I don't understand how you can be a Christian and accept gay people. I feel like if you do, you are a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't know what's worse, to be a person that actually sticks to their beliefs and is bigoted, or a person that is just a hypocrite that, you know, believes what's convenient for them when they want to.
Yeah.
So, not that I think what he believes is good, but at all. I feel like that's very evident. I don't like him. Fuck that con. But I don't understand why more Christians don't have his point of view. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah. I think you understand why more Christians don't voice that point of view. You already said that, of like they have to keep the church alive.
Yeah.
But
that's bullshit, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I have never heard a sermon on effeminacy as a sin. In fact, most people that I've talked to about effeminacy, they say, look, this is a pet interest area for you. It's not important, and I don't want to talk about it.
True.
Just give me Jesus. Right? So number 2, point from the text. I want you to see this. Most commentators agree there is a connection between effeminacy and homosexuality in the very sentence structure that Paul chooses. You notice in verse 9
well, they actually really don't care, and they're like, actually, that part doesn't bother me. I want this other part. I just want to hear what I want to hear. Yeah, you're right, that's hypocritical. I talk myself through it. Yep, no, you're right.
And just writes homosexuality. I don't know if it's nefarious, but it seems that way. But in the Greek, as some of the more, I would say on this passage at least, some of the more reliable translations, like the NASB, the KJV, they list effeminacy, and they should, because it's in the Greek. It's in the original language.
It's having a stroke?
Now, some people have argued, and they've said this could be the active and passive participants in a male homosexual act, sodomy. And so the effeminate is on the receiving end, and the homosexual is on the giving end.
How did we get here?
I don't think that's right. Gracious Shame makes a good case for this. Wilson does it.
What is he saying?
Well. The sin that's being addressed here.
We'll pause real quick. Pause. I think I followed it. So I think he was talking about effeminate people in general, and then or effeminate men in general, and then he said something about to the degree of homosexuals, and he's like the effeminates on the receiving end of a homosexual act, and then the other homosexuals on the giving. Is that what the word he used? I don't know exactly where he's going with that yet, but I think that he just really transitioned really quickly into gay sex.
Yeah, he went from like translating words to sodomy real quick.
Yeah, hard right turn to the sodomy.
He's like, well, what about sodomy?
While we're on the topic.
I don't get why religious losers hate on sodomy so much. It's good stuff. They're just scared. They're cowards. Take the path less traveled. Think it's easy for Frodo to get to Mordor?
But the sin that's being addressed here is effeminacy. And it refers to all the effeminate character traits, mannerisms that eventually pave the path to full-blown homosexuality.
Full-blown?
It's for the people who aren't yet fully practicing a homosexual lifestyle, but they're men acting like women. And God's saying that
so we do hate women.
Yeah.
Oh, phew.
Again, our culture, how much of a problem is caused just by saying that. The mobs are ready to gather because you said men should act like men and women should act like women. That's what I'm saying. That's what Paul's saying. That's what God is saying to you. So in other words, the path to homosexuality is in large part and has been paved by the church because it has failed to address the negative side, which is effeminacy in men, and the positive
the church makes you gay.
What is biblical masculinity.
I feel like this dude eats turkey and stuffing for all 3 meals. Just cornbread and gravy.
All times of year. He has the same lunch every single day.
This dude lives
It's a dry turkey breast meat sandwich.
This dude lives his whole life like it's Thanksgiving. He cleans his guns 7 times a day and lives off gravy.
What a fucking niche insult.
My dude would totally massacre Indians. No problem.
Get this man a fucking belt buckle hat. Some buckle shoes.
This pilgrim ass motherfucker. He got
Fucking
nothing
Puritan
going on.
bullshit over here. The fucking Quaker man himself.
You think he was on the Nino or the Pinta? He lives on Plymouth Rock.
Let me tell you something. He would never take the Santa Maria. That's a woman's name.
That sounds too Spanish. You could never cross an ocean on that Spaniard vessel. God damn it.
That's why we have to be reminded it's sin. And we have to be called in repentance to actively seek to put it to death.
Oh.
I talk about masculinity on Facebook,
call
on
for
Twitter,
death.
on my blog.
What do you think he wants to die?
You're just naturally
Let's
inclined
pause.
to those things. No, I am not.
That's his first call to death in the episode. We're on episode 3. I don't think he's ever said to put anything to death yet. I want to get his exact words there, because he's done a lot of in the past episodes talking about being man enough to kill, priest enough to pull the trigger. But what is he?
Priest enough to pull the trigger.
But what is he calling for the death of there? I need to. I'm gonna do a little rewind.
Yeah, do it.
Scooby Doo.
Right? In our flesh, we're all prone to softness as men to some extent. That's why we have to be reminded it's sin. And we have to be called in repentance to actively seek to put it to death.
Honestly, that needs to be the name of a black metal song. Is fucking priest enough to pull the trigger.
We're all prone to softness to some extent. That's why we have to be reminded it's sin. And we have to be called into repentance to put it to death. So is putting the suffering, putting the softness to death, putting
the concept of soft,
which to him is equivalent to femininity.
Mm-hmm.
So does he just want to kill? Does he just want the death of all feminine, soft men, or is he full blown and he wants to kill all the women too?
That does sound like what he's saying.
He's really splitting hairs.
You know, that makes me think. You know, in Eric Kahn's world, Satan is like a femboy.
Oh, true. It's hot.
Yeah,
it's dope, Eric. I'm with you, bro.
Pretty rad, dog. Very woke of you.
I talk about masculinity on Facebook, on Twitter, on my blog, and people say to me, well, you're just naturally inclined to those things. No, I am not. I am naturally inclined to be a coward.
Obviously.
To shirk responsibility, to be lazy with my body, with my mind.
I got the laziest dick in all of Colorado.
Those who are in Christ, those whose faith is in Jesus, you must reject effeminacy and softness and pursue biblical masculinity. You cannot be obedient to Christ if you are not in pursuit of biblical masculinity. Right? This is a serious, heavy, weighty issue. That's why I care so much about it. Right? We have to embrace hard masculinity.
Do you think he actually believes this?
It's not the natural lifestyle.
I teeter back and forth on that all the time.
Me too.
It's like, how much is he trolling?
He made a lot of episodes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is a long podcast.
Yeah. Hundreds of episodes of this. And he talks to other men with similar beliefs. So
should pursue robust
he has to believe it, but he
masculine virtue,
seems like he also has
and they
some
should seek to
awareness that it's
eliminate
pretty
and put to
silly.
death effeminate softness
I
in
mean,
themselves.
But he thinks he's supposed to believe this. Like, he thinks he's
Yeah.
a true warrior for God.
All right, the last thing I want to do in this episode is to get very, very practical. Again, this was one of the tenets we brought up in the introduction. We want to be clear, we want to be lucid, have brevity, get to the point, but we also want to be practical.
Please.
So how can we be practical about hardness and softness?
You tell me, bud.
I'm going to ask 2 questions, then I'm going to answer them in order. Number 1, how can a man pursue hardness? It's an important question.
Okay.
God calls us to do it. How do we do it? Number 2, in
He
what
didn't answer
specific
the
realms
question.
is a
Yeah,
man
he's
called
going
to pursue
to.
hard masculinity and to fight against softness? Now, here's the key point.
Those are
I'm going
both
to
the
start
same
answering
question.
those
Yeah,
2
it's the same
questions.
question.
Here is the key point I want you to
Dumbass.
take away from this discussion. Hardness is a result of
Fucking
discipline.
idiot.
Fuck. What happened to your brevity now,
Probably the
bitch?
core masculine virtue upon which all other virtues depend is discipline. Hardness is a result of discipline.
Gotta whip your
and
dick
it is a
100
way of
times a
life,
day.
not a
Well,
single
it's about
event.
edging. You have to know when to stop.
It's called gooning for God.
Yeah, you're gooning for God.
I don't even believe in God, and I do
Let's
it.
start a charity.
Discipline as a way of life. It is not a single event. If you want to be
I'm gonna do a
hard,
24-hour goon stream for God.
how can we grow and
So his whole shtick is, this is basically the biblical bitch version of Goggins, right?
Yeah.
Be disciplined. Run every morning at 3 a.m. Don't sleep. Do lots of push-ups and starve yourself. But instead, just hate gay people and soft men and be so disciplined you are always uncomfortable in your clothes. That way God might even let you see his dick.
Yeah.
And you might get into heaven.
Oh, God damn.
I'm getting my chuckles in.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's really hard to listen to this whole thing and think like, I don't know, if it was a troll, it'd be such a good troll
Yeah.
for such a long time. And like, imagine if he came out one day and he's like, I got all these fucking, shitty people on this podcast to admit to shitty things that they feel and believe. Or like, I don't know. But
It's one of those things, though. If it was a troll, it would take on a life of its own, and then he wouldn't be able to stop it. Like, that's...
yeah.
I don't want to overstate the Proud Boys, right? They've been in the news a lot. Those goofy guys. They were started in part, some of their founding members. It was all like a goof troll, and they had open meetings, and some of those people quickly left. It's just a goofy thing to have pretend. They were doing ironic, like racism type stuff, and it took on a life of its own, far more than some of the original people intended. And they had been involved in years, and they're like, what the fuck, like, did I do?
Yeah.
Not all of them. There were definitely true believers too, but, when you put out extremist beliefs, even if you are just new boot goofing, you're going to attract the crazies, and you're still responsible for what your organization does down the line. Overall, this whole podcast is just an absolute shit. It's just shit, and I feel like a little piggy just swaddling in it. I just rolling around in the pig shit.
Rolling around in the mud, yeah.
It's just amazing. Thank you, Eric Kahn, for everything you do for the
Thank you for the mud and shit.
toward hardness as a way of life? There's 3 ways. There's more, but I'm going to point to 3 today. There's 3 ways. Here they are. How can a man be disciplined for hardness? Well, he can discipline his muscles, his morals,
Of course.
and his mind.
Yeah.
Number 1,
Yeah.
a man's muscles. First,
I wonder what this
and
little
foremost,
bitch
when a
benches.
man disciplines his body physically,
I bet I could
his muscles
dead sumo roll
like, that's just a
way more weight than this nitty.
Right?
I bet I could lift way more heavy rocks than this loser.
Now has an edge. Right? Before, he was lazy, he overate, he neglected action. And so what do we say about men like that? We
God,
say
he's
they're
spitting
soft.
fire over here, bro.
Right? We talk like this all the time because our
You
words
can hear the
know
little bit
better
of
than we do
hate phlegm
sometimes.
he has in the back of his throat.
Yeah,
But it's interesting when a man
it's
is
there for
physically
sure.
soft, he's also
Every
psychologically
once in a while, that
soft.
little vitriol hits.
He's also morally soft.
Man's muscles.
So this
That's
is
what
where you
that pop
start with a
filter's
man's
for
muscle.
right there, catching all the
If
hate.
you cannot discipline your body to be hard, you will fail.
It's not a hate
every
crime if
other
you use a pop
area
filter.
in life. I promise
That's
you.
law.
That's
Right? This is why when you enter military forces, you go to boot camp.
Hate
Join-
crimes are bullshit, though.
they are. They're
camp.
super bullshit.
It's
They
it's
literally
absurd.
put a boot in
Oh,
your
you committed
end,
the same crime, but you
right?
thought a
Because
bad
you
thing.
have to be made hard. If you're going to be a fighting man, military, understand,
That
you
sounds.
gotta be hard,
All right, I gotta
and you
find.
got to be physically fit.
I'm half memeing. Like, if someone beats the shit out of me,
Yeah.
I don't. The words they're saying doesn't make it different. I get those hate crime laws were put in place to protect minorities, and that's and even in certain times and places that might be the right thing to do. It might be effective at. I don't think it even prevents, but maybe punishes people that committed crimes to an extent that they deserve more. But if you're a Nazi, you have a swastika tattooed on your forehead, then isn't every crime you commit like a hate crime? Like,
Unless you kill an Aryan,
yeah,
blue-eyed, blonde-haired person.
but it's like thought crime shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've had the shit beaten out of me while I'm called a white piece of shit. That's a hate crime.
Yeah.
But I don't think I called the cops or anyone got in trouble. But if I did, I don't think they should get extra prison time because they made fun of my race.
Yeah.
I don't, because it's thought crime shit. Like, people say offensive stuff in a fight, right?
Mhm.
Like, if I'm a not racist person and a group of a race attacks me and I say a slur while I'm defending myself, does that mean someone can read my mind and say, you actually are racist? It is a hate crime. Like, it's some of the laws that go the closest to like presuming someone's mental state.
Mhm.
Like, with murder, you need
Motive and all the other
what is it? The
premeditation.
Yeah, premeditation. Like, it's the equivalent of presuming premeditation on a murder, right? Like, you're saying we know you're racist, and that's why you did it. You know, maybe there's some cases where it is evident. Like, if it's a group, if it's a purely racial motivated crime, like you're with a group of people going to do race crimes, I could see it being relevant then, but I don't know. They're weird laws.
Yeah. One that's been in the news for a minute. I'm not following it closely, but the idea was, it's an old dude. He shot a kid that was like out in there. It's like playing in the yard or some shit. And, the kid happened to be Muslim. Or of Muslim, his family was, I forget the situation. But they were pressing him for a hate crime, and he pled no to the hate crime, but like guilty to the murder. And it's like, at that point, does it matter when you shot the little kid in the head? Like, it
shouldn't, but they'll stroke him out because depending on how old he is, he could get out in 20 years.
No, he's not. He's way too old to
Gotcha.
20 years in jail.
But theoretically, you can serve a life sentence and get out. But I forget what they're called, the enhancements. I think they're called enhancements, where when it's a hate crime or when it's like a gang crime or there's an aggravated assault because there's drugs or a weapon or whatever the fuck, when they put those enhancements on it, you can like add 5, 10, whatever years on sentences.
Yeah.
So it's like, if this, to your point, who the fuck cares? He murdered this child, right? Yeah. And it, especially for him to, I don't know anything about the case, but if he's saying that wasn't his reason why, but he's copying to the murder, I think that's probably true.
Yeah, and it's like,
and okay, we can't prove it anyway.
But then why? Why did you do it then?
Hey, kids are fucking annoying.
Fucking out there playing trains and shit.
Not keeps going backyard.
He keeps going chugga chugga chugga, and I'm over here trying to enjoy my coffee.
I'm trying to load my gun, and all I can hear is this chugga. It's fucking driving me nuts. Got to blow him away, just like Christ would.
You're right. Just like my pastor would, just like Christ would.
Got to be priest enough to pull the trigger.
God damn it.
You are going to fail morally if you are not physically fit.
Is this little bitch still talking?
He's still talking about fitness.
Gym. I mean so that you can war.
Whoa, war.
Right? Men are made to be warriors, and you need a body that can get you there.
Nice.
So a man should pursue physical discipline to bring about a hard body and a hard mind.
Fucking hot, bro.
They're
gotta
tied
have
together.
A Brad Pitt Fight Club body.
You cannot separate them. You want to be hard, discipline your body physically. Second, what is the other realm that a man can pursue discipline and hardness?
Your other muscles.
A man must be morally hard. So number 1 was muscles. Number 2 is morals.
Your heart muscles.
A man must be morally hard. What do I mean by this?
Number 3 is your brain muscles.
Disciplining yourself to live by a set of moral principles.
Don't forget about your penis muscle,
virtues.
man.
Not about what's easy in the moment. Right? You all know what I'm talking about.
Oh, we know what you're talking about, Eric.
I know that I should probably put in the work and not cut corners on this project, but I really want to go drink beers with my buddy.
Beers with the boys.
So I'm going to do something morally
Yeah.
egregious. No matter how small it seems, that's what it is. Right? But the man who has learned to live by principle, he says, it doesn't matter how tired I am, I will do the right thing. It doesn't matter how financially strapped we are, we're still going to tithe our paycheck.
This little nerd does book reports because he thinks it's the right thing to do.
You choose to live under the weightiness of a set of moral principles and virtues.
That shit in the chat GPT.
Despite how you may feel in the moment. A man must be this. A man must be this if he's going to be hard. It means acting courageously in the face of fear. It means embracing hard challenges. It means refusing to compromise on truth, even when it means unpopularity. You know
He's
how I
alone
know
in a room
we
right
don't
now.
have a lot of hard men in the church?
Oh, yeah.
Because every time a difficult doctrinal issue comes up in the church, the leaders in the church bail. They won't come out and say homosexuality is a sin.
But those
Repent.
all the popes just bail.
It's not God's best for you.
Should have done a kickflip, bro.
Dude, that is moral compromise. You do not fear God, you fear man. Think about John the Baptist, right?
Oh, that's my boy.
He
We're back to
lost
John.
his head, literally. It's not a metaphor. He was beheaded for challenging the king and saying, what you're doing is wicked and evil. You need to repent. He did not soft pedal the truth. That's what
If
hard
only it
men
were attached.
do. They speak hard truths and
Anybody
they
know
stand
where
by
my
them and they don't
car
back
is?
down. They speak plainly and they speak clearly. What else do? They cultivate a relentless diligence in their work. That's moral. That's a sense of weightiness and vocation and
Really
masculine
wanted to say
virtue.
dildos, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? You think
restrained
going to
himself
work
'cause he's a
and just
man.
slacking off? You think that's not a moral decision? It's a bad one, but it's a moral decision. Hard men know how to sacrifice temporal
My boy is
ease and
spun,
comfort.
dude.
Yeah.
He's 30 minutes in. He doesn't know who he is, where he's at, what his name is. Up is down, down is up.
Third and finally,
He's having a real rough go at time right now. He's not having a good Tuesday.
He's lost in the reeds
instead of emotionally and reactively. Right? So we did muscles, we did morals, and now we're on a man's mind.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Right? You have to discipline your mind.
You're right.
It isn't brain. Things like this.
It isn't brain muscles.
That's the sexiest muscle of a man.
I'm just not a reader.
That's right.
Man brain.
And I don't give a crap what you are. You're going to become a reader.
Oh.
You're going to become somebody who at least listens to sermons, listens to podcasts. Maybe it's not reading as much as listening, but guys, you have to discipline your mind.
You're going to listen to my fucking podcast.
You think people like to wake up at 4 a.m. and lift weights? I mean, yeah, eventually maybe you enjoy it.
You think people like my podcast?
He does it.
You think people like going to church?
Because he knows how to discipline himself, but don't think that's all about that man's body. He's disciplining his mind. And when you listen to the man speak, and Jordan Peterson and Rollo Tomasi, those are men who know how to discipline their minds.
Been doing it since I was like in the 7th grade.
You have to have a hard mind.
What are those sexy fellas up to? That Jordy Pepperson? Is that his name?
Rather than to be ruled by
Jordy
them.
Pep.
Right? Why are so many men today soft?
Jordy
P.
Dizzle.
P. Dizzle.
They say, well, I just feel like a victim in the world. Life is hard. I didn't get that 6-figure job that I thought that I was owed when I graduated from college. I mean, I know I have the sense of entitlement of a Kardashian, and I know I've only accomplished as much as a ham sandwich, but gosh darn it, I feel like people should show me more respect. Right? That's not a hard man.
Jokes.
We live in a generation that tells us to trust our feelings. It tells us we're entitled. If bad things happen, it tells us we're a victim. But listen, a hard man is ruled by principle, reason, and the word of God. You need to learn logic. Like, how many of the stupid things the media tells us
capris and ham sandwiches
could be destroyed in 5 seconds by somebody who knew what a logical fallacy was? That's a red herring. Right? Ad hominem. You're attacking me, not my argument. Men need to learn these things. So I encourage you, discipline your muscles, discipline your morals.
That's a steelman fallacy with the sunken time cost continuum.
You'll be a better man. You'll be a hard man. You'll be living in repentance and faithfulness to God.
Hey, bro, it's a red herring. Ad hominem.
You'll grow up. And that's what our generation of boys with beards needs.
He is the beard boy.
Well, thanks for listening to the Hard Man Podcast.
That's it.
It's been a pleasure. For more on the topic of masculinity and biblical sexuality, be sure to check out my
had a little chat. Love our little talks.
Where's the grace, Eric? No brevity, no grace.
Little, something to segue into.
He just came and left.
Oh, he came all right.
God, what a little bitch.
Be sure to follow me on Facebook as well. If you have questions or feedback, please let me know.
Oh, we'll let you know.
Let me interact and engage with you.
God, I can't wait till he finds these episodes.
Until next time, men.
Yes.
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty,
fight the
bro.
Good fight. Act like men.
He said that last time, didn't he?
I think you're right.
That's his thing.
Load your ammo.
Guess because when you're frozen, you're cold. You're hard. Is that the association?
No, it's the military thing.
Frosty is a military thing?
Yes, that's what soldiers say. Stay frosty, like stay on your P's and Q's, stay sharp. Like when you go into a dangerous territory, you go to your bro and you go, stay frosty, bro.
Stay frosty, bro.
Stay frosty. Keep your nips hard. There's danger ahead. It's like their spider sense, but their nips get cold.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
It's a soldier thing. You wouldn't understand.
You're right. I had no idea. More like, for me, it's like, hey, stay off the Frosties. Am I right? You're going to get soft. You eat all that Frosty.
So let's talk about his writing before we get out of here. What the fuck did we just listen to? What was the arc? Started with soft clothes make soft men. Soft men are bad because they're feminine. women are obviously pieces of shit, so you don't want to be feminine.
Yeah.
You have to be disciplined with your big muscles. So that's why you got to get big muscles, a big dick, a big brain, and a big heart for God. And the only way to do so is to be disciplined like Jordy Pepperson. And that way you can be hard and veiny all the time.
Yeah. You summarized that whole 30-minute thing into a couple second speech.
It really bothers me. He used the word brevity like 5 times in this podcast. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's just...
that was his word of the day. He had to work it into 3 or 4 sentences to get his points on the word of the day app.
I would love to talk to this man. Here's the thing, though. For me, the root of it is that they have to admit they think women are less than men. There's no way you can obviously think of gay men as being bad because they're feminine unless they establish they hate women. And I think men like this truly do hate women.
Yeah.
And I don't know with him, I think a lot of people get to that in different ways. The stereotype is like, oh, who hurt you, bro, type thing. And I think some of that is legit. Like, people get hurt and then they take it out on 50% of the population. Right. Based on their gender or...
Easy target. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Or it's some sort of inferiority complex that he doesn't feel man enough, so he has to constantly put down the men he sees as weaker to feel good. There's a deep insecurity going on with some part of him. I don't know what it is, but I think I have a little feeling we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I'm so curious where he takes us, though. I mean, I truly enjoy listening to this idiot, and I think he's going to bring us many, many more laughs.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a real rowdy ride.
Dude, I'm telling you,
it's a lot to take in. But usually after these episodes, my cheeks hurt from laughing so much.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you this though: the episode that I think sealed the deal on us choosing this as our war target is one of the first episodes I listened to was him interviewing a retired LAPD sheriff and them coming together and agreeing on so many disgusting points of view really is like where it becomes less funny and a lot more dangerous, right? Where people in power that can affect people's daily lives in such significant ways believe this type of thing. Oh man, it gets dark quick. So we're going to see how extreme little beard boy Eric can get and how many of his big muscle friends agree. But that's for another day, dear Trashcats.
Yeah, we'll get to all that later.
The war continues.
Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
If you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. I'm still on an artistic detox, but gonna be back in no time. And
I've been working on the cover arts here.
Dude,
that's your outlet.
John came over. I was working. I spent hours transferring. I think you saw the initial sketch, right? Of his album cover, maybe.
I don't think so.
Well, I did the sketch, transferred it on black paper. Was about to ink it with a gold paint marker. Had it all laid out. I'm hours in. Shake up the paint marker. The whole top came off.
Oh no.
Drenched it all in gold paint. Destroyed. But I digitalized it. I've lost so many things over the years, like losing backups, losing files, corrupted hard drive. I back everything up even while I'm working on it now. So I got it back up, got it rescanned and printed. We're going to be back there in no time. But yeah, dude,
cool.
Creatively, it's been a rough week, but we're getting back on the track.
Yeah. That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat. Yep, go fuck yourself. How's that for a segue?
Go fast, eat trash. It's beautiful. Yo, fuck Eric Kahn.